Tripping head to toe, never doubt the zone. Make you eat the crow, laughing in your face, laughing to the bank. She can keep the push. I just want the brain, swerving, switching lanes.
Hello and welcome to the Hard to Handle Sports Podcast. Once again, my good homie, hermano, friend Matt joins us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
So happy to be back.
I'm glad you're here. Thank you for visiting the city. But let's get to it. Today we're right in the middle of the first Premier League weekend. We're two very, very passionate Premier League fans.
Yeah, absolutely.
Liverpool made some moves. Another move looks like it fell apart. Let's talk about our predictions for the year. Let's talk about what we think is going to happen this year. And I want to hear your opinion on, first of all, welcome. And, long time coming.
Yeah. No, definitely. Thank you again for having me here. I'm super hyped to talk about the Premier League. I think that this is going to be a super entertaining season from the top all the way down to the bottom. We have some really good teams, a really interesting transfer window for not just Liverpool, but a few of the other big teams in the Big Six.
Some teams didn't do anything.
So I was literally about to say it. I was like, it was a tough window for Wolves, but
oh man.
I think all in all, it's gonna be a really, really good season. I think year over year since Pep has come to the league, there's been such a rise in technique, and I know neither of us are huge fans, or and probably just don't like to give him the credit that he probably deserves. But I mean, I was just watching some of the opening games, and I've never seen Burnley do a 1-2 in my life, and I watched them knock the ball around Man City. They look like a good team, and that's Burnley. That's like lob to the top, hold it up. What we thought used to be like English style soccer has completely changed, and I think for the
you
better.
see it in the U's. Have you seen highlights of their U20 or their U20s?
Yeah,
bro, they're playing
He's changed
Spain.
it. Yeah, he's changed
with the
way
physicality and the size of Englishmen.
It's what makes it so entertaining, right? It's what makes it so. Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally understand it. I think, but he's really helped smash that stereotypical style of play. And because of it, I mean, we have such a solid product that you can really tune in at almost any game, and it's gonna be entertaining.
Yeah.
So I think, all in all, I'm really looking forward to this season. But let's kick it off.
Yeah, let's kick it off, man. We have our regular horses in Man City and Liverpool and Arsenal, who's established themselves.
Yeah.
We have Newcastle, who looks like they're gonna have another good year and maybe not catch as many teams on the surprise this year. They'll be established. We have other teams like Chelsea, who spend a lot of money. Tottenham, who just let go of Harry Kane, so they're probably not going to be in it. Man United, who's trying to get back into it. Who do you see finishing in the top four this year?
I think the top four is going to be Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, United. In terms of the order, I think my early prediction is going to be that Arsenal potentially win it.
Okay.
And I think that's because Man City have lost some really key pieces. But granted, there are still 2 weeks left in the transfer window.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that it is gonna be super, super interesting just how these teams end up getting built up, because I do think that Man City still have some business to do. I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal signs somebody else also. But as it stands,
I would.
Right, I think they need
Declan
to.
Rice, bro, they used all their budget on Declan Rice.
Yeah, I mean, they signed Timber also. They granted, they have a really good team, but they're playing in Europe this year, right? They're playing in the Champions League. So those, especially for teams that are newer to the competition. I mean, Arsenal have been there in years past, but it's been a bit since they've been there. And Newcastle, it's going to be a long time since they've been playing in the Champions League. I think those extra games are really going to take a toll on them. And I think the same will be for Man City, just given the fact that they've lost some super key contributors in Amares and in Gundogan, and I don't think that they've done enough to replace those players. It's really hard to replace those players, but I mean, they're still such a sick squad. They're such they play such a style of play that
if they lose Silva though,
if they lose Bernardo Silva, they won't win. I don't see them winning
and
the
what's
league.
his name got hurt. His hammy.
Yeah, De Bruyne got pulled up in the first 30 minutes, which absolutely killed my fantasy Premier League team. So I mean, I'm gonna make the swap now. I'm gonna definitely. I didn't get Haaland because he cost too much because I put money in De Bruyne.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely gonna make that swap. But I think
sleeper Morgan Gibbs White. Nah,
Morgan, hey, no, bro, he's a baller. He's a baller. But no, that's the way that I imagine the top 4 is gonna be. I think the order itself.
Yeah.
Arsenal.
Let's go with the order.
I think it'll be Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, United. But I do think that my opinion will change come the end of the transfer window. Just
so fuck Chelsea,
dude. Yes, and I said my thing is I've never really like understood just their transfer policy the last couple of years.
Just spend money. That's their transfer.
Spend money, and like I look at the team on paper, and it just
what are they building?
It doesn't really make sense. They do have sick players, right? Like Enzo Fernandez is a baller. They're gonna end up getting Moises Caicedo, who we'll touch up on in a bit. But
a double pivot, him and Caicedo.
Yeah, double pivot. But like, they do have like Mudryk, who they signed, who looks super flashy. We'll see if like this second season like helps him along. I do think he
kind of gives me the same like energy that I'm getting from what's that, the Brazilian from United.
Anthony.
Yeah. Like I think flashy, but no end product.
Yeah, they're both flashy, and they are two like different kind of players. They both don't have end product.
That's what I'm talking about. Like I'm not like they're not like the same. I'm just saying there's no 100%. End product. There's no end product to all the other good stuff that they do.
I mean they do have a good manager. I think Pochettino's gonna try to he'll figure it out, but I just don't think as it stands right now. Again, this can change in 2 weeks. That they have a big enough team or a good enough team to make the top 4. But I think this year 5 teams go to the Champions League, right? This would be the first year that 5 go.
Because they expanded it.
Yeah. So it'll they expanded it for next season, but we'll see. We'll end up seeing. I do think Man United have made some strides, and I do think the second year under Ten Hag, you were kind of seeing it a little bit build up. It pains me to say it, but they were kind of coming together. Throughout last season, they kind of had some bumps in the road, as any team with a new manager will. And,
right.
I think they'll be able to make some and win some big games, but I just don't see them passing Arsenal or Man City, and I definitely don't see them passing us. I think just given like our own head-to-head record and things like that, it's hard for me to believe that they'd be better than us throughout this year. I do think for Liverpool specifically now, a lot of the key players that weren't available last year will be available this year, and the newer players have now adapted to the system, and I imagine that we're going to take run them to the ground, basically.
Salah bounce back year?
I mean, he had a great season last year.
Yeah, but still, I feel like he wasn't as influential as he could have been.
It's just the levels, right? Like everyone thinks that he's going to score 30 goals. He's the
Egyptian god,
I mean, bro, he's one of the greatest players that ever played in the league. That's a fact. But I do think he's going to. There's a level of consistency with him that's almost untouchable and kind of unreal to believe. I do think having some more creative midfielders than in years past is going to be really helpful. There's a stat that I saw this week that Henderson and Fabinho accounted for less than 10 assists to Mohamed Salah, and they played together for 4 seasons.
Oh yeah, I was kind of thinking that too.
Right,
at that point in his career, Henderson is kind of like a addition by subtraction.
Yeah,
no offense to club legend.
Yeah, no, it's it was you kind of saw the legs go last season, and it hurt, and you saw the legs kind of happen with Fabinho. Granted, he was picking it up on the back end of last year. I do think that lack of a holding midfielder right now is really killing us, though.
Yeah,
it's really killing us. And
just put McAllister there.
He can play. He definitely can play there, right? He's a super adaptable midfielder that can play the 6 and the 8 and the 10 if he really wanted to.
Yeah.
Even though like most teams don't play with the traditional 10, I think you're gonna see a newer Liverpool this year. I'm super excited to see us play Chelsea. I think I really hope, just with all of this transfer bull crap that's happened between the two teams, that we absolutely smack them. But at the same time, I'm still super frustrated with our ownership for showing a lack of ambition, and especially for the lack of movement after losing Fabinho and Henderson. Like you're saying, they lost legs, but they were still a key part of our midfield, and they are part of a group of midfielders with James Milner, Naby Keita, and Oxlade-Chamberlain, the last two being not as available as often. But that's 5 midfielders that we lost.
Yeah.
And we've only brought 2 in.
They got to get some bodies in there.
We need, again, 2 weeks left. I really hope they continue to sign more players and really help us push forward. Because I do think if we get a solid 6, we could be battling for Man City and Arsenal at the top, just given the amount of games and the strength of their schedule in comparison to ours. I mean, it sucks to not be part of the Champions League this year, but I do think it allows us to really focus on having a successful domestic season. And I think if we're able to fill it up, we could be competing with those 2 teams at the top.
Also, a lot of people are kind of moving on from Liverpool already. Like they're kind of like thinking like the reign of terror is over. You know?
Yeah.
They're kind of saying like this. Like I don't know. Usually Liverpool going into the season, it was very optimistic. Like they're gonna fight against City, you know, for the championship the last few years. But like from what I've been hearing, it kind of looks like it's Arsenal, City, and then Liverpool. A lot of people are even predicting that like, you know, this might be Klopp's last year or like you know, Klopp's history, like his tenures with teams. You know?
No, totally. And I think it's valid. You know, we live in a world where it's like, what have you done for me lately? And truthfully, last year, Liverpool were absolutely abysmal. I mean, we did get hit by the injury bug, but when we did have everyone back, we still weren't putting together results. And it was just really an unfortunate year. We have nobody to blame but ourselves for a lot of what ended up happening this year. I do think defensively, we still have some ways to go, even though we have Van Dijk. And, you know, granted, he is a couple years older now, and he's not the same exact player that he was when everyone was, unanimously naming him the best defender in the world.
Yeah.
For my money, he's still there. I'm not going to say that he hasn't, like, dropped in quality a little bit, but I still just think that he was just that much better than everyone else. But that's not to say that there aren't other defenders that are right there, you know, right. touching at his heels. But that's just my opinion. I do get to see him week in, week out. So obviously there's a little bit of bias there,
right?
But I still think with him, and if Konate are able to stay healthy, that is one of the best center back partnerships in the Premier League and throughout Europe as well. But again, we're relying on them to stay healthy, which they have not been able to do the last couple seasons. So it is kind of a point of worrisome for us as Liverpool 100%. Fans. But I still have faith that we can really string together some results, especially to start the season off.
Right.
And it starts against Chelsea.
Mm-hmm. And also one more time, just to reiterate, your top 4, you said Arsenal, City, Liverpool, United?
Yep.
Okay, so for me, I think I got City going for that historic 4th in a row, to be honest. I do think they're going to make some moves in these last 2 weeks, and if they don't, I think they always, you know, solidify their team in January. Yeah. And even last year, I think with the World Cup pause, like, I think it hurt every team, or like I thought every team that had momentum going into that pause, it was going to hurt them. Yeah. But City, they just, you know, because they're so deep. And they did lose players, but I think they, even if you look at their roster right now, like to be able to bring Alvarez off the bench, like it's pretty insane. Like I think I rate Alvarez pretty high. Like
he's a really good player.
He could be starting for like almost damn near like 18, like 16 of the teams in the Premier League.
No question.
He gets in their starting 11. So like they still have a solid team. I think
I would truthfully say he probably starts for 18 of the teams.
He's quality, dude. Like sometimes Gabriel Jesus, I used to think kind of the same thing about him. Like I was like, oh, he could start for a lot of teams, bro. Alvarez is not, like the fact that they have him on the bench, like that's
he's unreal, bro. He has insane quality, insane speed. I mean, it's a shame that he has the best striker in the world right in front of him. Yeah, but that's such a great problem to have if you're Man City.
And no one plays with 2 strikers.
Nobody
anymore.
plays a 4-4-2. It's not a thing.
Exactly. But I still think City goes for that 4th in a row. I don't think they get another trouble or anything, but we're just talking about the Premier League right now.
Yeah.
I do think Liverpool passes Arsenal. In my prediction, I think they go 2nd. I think Arsenal falls to 3rd. Still have a really good year. And then for 4th, that's where it gets a little iffy. I want to say Newcastle. I like Newcastle. I think people are kind of saying that because they're going to play Champions League this year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that they're not going to, they don't have the squad depth. But
yeah. That's my reasoning.
Yeah. But I wouldn't believe.
Yeah,
I
no,
like
totally.
the storyline, dude. I like the storyline. I like their stadium looks fucking sick every time I see them on TV.
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan of Miguel Almiron. So
yeah, no,
I'm a little biased, dude. I want them to do good, so I'm gonna put them in fourth. And then after that, it just becomes like probably like United or something.
Yeah. It's I totally hear you on the Newcastle thing. I think they've made some serious strides. Their investors came in and have really put a lot of money into signing some quality players.
Isak too.
Oh, he's unreal, bro.
That was unreal. Sick. That was so sick.
Unreal. That was a player that I had wanted to take a leap when he was at Sociedad. I thought there was a lot of different teams that could have used his services. Yeah. And it was kind of wild to me that, I mean, it makes sense. Newcastle had the funding, so he has the money. Bro. But yeah, he's a quality player, and it's going to be fun to watch him this year.
Yeah, but I don't have United making top 4. And I don't have Chelsea making top 4. Obviously, I don't have Tottenham. We'll see what they do with their money, though. They have 2 weeks.
Yeah, they have 2 weeks. New manager, right? Completely new manager. I think that they're going to really fall. I think there's a chance that they're going to be like what Chelsea were last year.
Yeah.
And they'll rebuild for the following year. And I do think it'll be like a full rebuild. I think that they'll sell Heung-min Son, who's just got named captain.
They should build their team again around Richarlison. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think they should build a team around James Maddison, who I imagine will probably stay. That's not to say that he's some crazy good midfielder, but it's for the Premier League, it's not a bad person to be able to have.
I think if you're building your team against around him, you're not going anywhere.
But I do think that their ambition is going to be very different come next year. I think that's the only reason why I say that. It'll be like it'll be kind of like what the Leicester City was of a few years ago, where you're fighting for like a European spot. And I do think that they'll be there.
In a couple years.
Yeah, for starting next year. So I think that they're going to enter a full-on rebuild mode. They are a big team, so there is potential that doesn't happen. But I do think when you lose the greatest player that's ever played for your club, who's consistently giving you 2010, 2015 seasons, it's going to hurt. Richarlison scored 1 league goal last year.
We'll see.
One league goal, and it's not from a lack of playing. It was hilarious. I mean, he scored it against us. I was livid. I was absolutely fuming that the 1 goal he scored all season was against Liverpool. But I mean, I just don't think they have enough quality across. Right. I totally agree that they're not going to be competing for top 4. And losing Harry Kane is huge. And losing him at this period of the transfer window too. But they should have done better at letting him go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they were a little too stubborn.
Yeah.
And it kind of played against them because they didn't give him to City, and now City has Haaland, and obviously Haaland's better at this point.
Yeah.
So they play themselves. All right, so who do you have going down to the championship?
I have Luton, who just came up.
Right.
Sucks for them. Sucks for them. But I'm sure that they'll probably be a potential like a new Norwich, where they go up and down. And use that money to fund a more sustainable team.
Exactly. Watford, Norwich.
Exactly.
Those type of teams.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do think Luton will be probably at the lowest. They'll be battling with Sheffield for those 19-20 positions. And I'm so sorry to say this, but in 18th, I do think that Wolves will be going down, and that's simply because of the lack of investment from ownership for transfers, and to lose your manager days before the season starts, it just never bodes well for teams that are looking to have remotely successful seasons. Like, even if you had ambitions of being like a top 10, top 15 team, doing what was done is just... It's a recipe for a disaster, and it sucks because there are still some decent players on that team, right? Like Mateus Nunes is like the first name that really kind of comes to my mind.
Yeah, Neto, a year removed from his injury, hopefully he picks it up.
Yeah, but there's not enough around the team, and it doesn't look like there's going to be anybody that's going to be coming in these last 2 weeks. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah,
but I mean,
that's part of the reason Lopetegui left.
Yeah, and he's a good manager too. Yeah, he's a good manager. It's really sad to see because I do think Molineux when it's rocking, it's one of the more fun places to be watching a game, and they have such a great environment, and the team is really, the fans have really come and have really started to have a new love for the team after having a consistent run in the Premier League. But I unfortunately think that their time has come, and it sucks because they're a fun team to watch.
Yeah. We were one of the teams that could actually give a run to the Big Six during these last few years.
Absolutely.
Maybe not last year, but like the years before.
Yeah, in years past for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Just obviously, I'm not gonna put my Wolves in the bottom 3.
Totally, yeah.
But I do have Luton Town. I do have Burnley, and I wanted to say Everton, just because they've been kind of close the last few years, but I just can't put them,
Yeah.
because they're like such a historic team. You feel like some way or another, like
they'd be the biggest team to ever go down. If they go down.
That'd be insane.
Yeah.
Last year they saved themselves like by the nick of their hair. I don't want to say Nottingham Forest either, because I think they're kind of cool too, but I think I'm gonna have to go with Nottingham Forest, to be honest.
Okay.
Like last year, they saved themselves like pretty at the end too, right? They had
They're at the bottom, yeah.
yeah,
fine.
and they spent money too, so
A lot of money. Yeah.
a lot of money. They gave us some money for Morgan Gibbs White.
Good player.
Yeah, good player, but I mean, like I said, I wanted to put Everton, but it's such a big team. Like
Absolutely,
I can't see it, dude. I can't see it. Like I gotta see, I gotta see it to believe it, because they're such a historic team, and like you always think Everton and Liverpool are gonna have, like, that's a staple in the calendar.
Yeah,
that's one of the things.
Derby,
yeah, Merseyside Derby. So I just can't put them there. But Luton Town, unfortunately, cool team. Good to see them come up to the Premier League.
Definitely,
it probably
fun.
motivates a lot of teams in the lower divisions.
Absolutely,
to think that they could do it too.
They rose up the ranks, right?
Exactly, but I do think Burnley, Luton, and Nottingham Forest.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually feel super strongly that Burnley are going to stay up.
Really?
Yeah. I'm really like especially because I had watched them in the championship last year.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, like Vincent Kompany,
they ran through it, didn't they?
They won it with like a lot of time left.
Yeah.
With weeks left in this season. But I'm just saying, like this new Burnley is not the Burnley of old. It's not these guys that are just gonna pin you back and rough you up, and it's gonna be a tough place to. It's gonna be a tough place to play for other reasons. I'm telling you, watching against Man City, I was blown away that we saw like 1-2s, crazy movement on and off the ball. I think they're actually gonna be. They're one of my teams to really look out for to be surprised like team for the season. Yeah, I think. Time will obviously tell. They've spent a lot of money also. In smaller portions. 15, 17.
Yeah, they have like 5 or 6 new starting. Yeah. In their starting 11.
Yeah. But we'll ultimately see. But I do think that's going to be. They're one of my teams that are going to be surprising, and I think the other team that is going to be.
No. Oh, who do you have?
No. I have positively. I have Burnley, right?
Okay.
Negatively, I have 2 teams, and I think it's going to be Crystal Palace, and I think it's going to be West Ham.
And
West Ham. I mean, losing Declan Rice is big, but just the nobody really coming in afterwards was like a big issue for me. Again, there's 2 weeks left. This can completely change.
Yeah,
but I just think that there's so much that was lacking there, and they struggled so much in the Premier League season. And people say it was because they were so focused on the Europa Conference League, which big up to them. It's a European tournament. They won it, but they were horrible in the league last season. They were for stretches, fighting relegation.
Yeah,
and losing Declan Rice is not going to help that. They don't really have a lot of it, great attacking players going forward.
Yeah,
but we'll see. I think those 2 teams are going to have a difficult year with just some of the departures that they've had.
Yeah, the funny thing about last year is that there was so many teams fighting for relegation. Like it was a cluster for the first it went to not to like March or like something that it starts to like clear up, because I know at the end of the standing Wolves ended up like 13th, I think. Yeah, but bro, we were like 18th and like 17th and 16th for like a lot of the season. Like that's why we had to get Lopetegui, and like he saved it, but like I think you got to take it with a grain of salt, like all the teams that were competing for relegation too, because there was just like so many teams. Yeah, like you could say like Wolves ended up in 13th or 12th, and even the team above them, they were fighting for relegation too. And you don't usually see like 8 teams fighting for relegation.
It was crazy.
But yeah, I see what you mean. Circling back to Burnley, I think part of the reason that I'm not rating them so high, it could be a little biased, I do agree, is the teams that have done the best in recent years coming out of the championship have been Leeds, Wolves when they came out, and now Burnley are probably getting the most hype coming out of the championship. Yeah, and it bugged me when Leeds United came out and people were calling them like the best team to come out, and I was like, bro, the Wolves literally came out like 2 years before you guys, had more points, did better against the top 6, and you're They're not getting no love. Like, come on.
They finished 8th. They finished 8th one season.
Yeah. The first year back. Yeah. So I was like, nah. So right now, Burnley, I gotta see it.
Yeah,
I gotta see it.
Totally.
I gotta see it first.
Yeah, totally. I think for me, the reason why I say it is because it's Burnley. Right, and you don't expect Burnley to just be playing like attacking football
because it's Burnley.
Yeah, bro. So it's just like I think that's why it's gonna be just so surprising. It's just this club that is notorious with playing an ugly style and really grinding out results is gonna be a team that are gonna be playing free flowing football. And it's gonna be I say it more not so much in the respect that they're gonna be like a team that's fighting for 8th, 9th, or 10th, which I mean they potentially could. More in the sense that like you're gonna watch Burnley, you're gonna be like, what happened to Burnley? Like, this looks like a completely different team. Yeah, which is it's going to be an interesting watch throughout the season.
No, I hear you, but also that attacking mentality, that attacking flow, it could bite you if you just think you're going to be able to run the same strategy once you go to the big leagues.
Yeah,
that's part of the reason Leeds are not here anymore. Because they were running up and down the field. They were trying to take the game to every single team that they were playing against. They were trying to. It didn't matter if it was City or if it was prime Liverpool coming up to Leeds. They were like, we're gonna send our fullbacks up. We're gonna send everybody up. Like, we're not gonna play like how smaller teams are supposed to play against bigger teams. Like we're gonna take it to you, and it was fun.
Yeah,
it was fun. Like
it was fun while it lasted.
When it was working, it was fun. Like you would tune in to see Leeds against any team because you were like, Leeds is not gonna back down. Like this is like, and if you're looking at it from like an opposing team that's like that like if you're a fan of a team that's regarded like in the same level as Leeds, and you see your team not proposing the game, and then you see Leeds, and you're like, man, I wish my team did that. I wish my team did that. Yeah. But that could be Crystal Palace is staying more years in the league. That could be, another team just steadying the ship and being a consistent team in the Premier League. Whereas Leeds, they kind of flamed out. It worked. It worked when it worked.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't think that their style of play was sustainable. They just ran so much, and they just didn't have the same funding as some of the larger teams to have a deep enough squad, which ultimately ended up being their demise, right? And then that's why they fired. Their previous manager, and then they fired Jesse Marsh after a couple months. Like, it's just there's a lack of sustainability in that style of play.
Who was it? Bielsa?
Yeah, Marcelo Bielsa. Yeah. I mean, he's a coach over at Uruguay now. Yeah.
So I see Burnley. I appreciate how they play.
Yeah.
But like, dude, if they're gonna take it up against all like. Hey, it's definitely it's a big step in competition.
Sure.
Like you're going from the championship, which is regarded as probably with the strongest second division, but you're going into the Premier League where teams just have crazy rosters.
Yeah,
and crazy.
Definitely. It's a completely jump in quality. It's a complete jump in quality.
It's crazy.
For sure. No,
I
think I totally agree
do
with
appreciate the way they play though.
Yeah,
I hate seeing teams just never
never try to take it to them.
Exactly. But we'll see if they stay. Let's talk about Caicedo to Chelsea. It looks like that's gonna happen now after the move to Liverpool fell apart. What are your thoughts on that? Like,
so I just want to say first and foremost that I brought that name up to you last year, early last year.
Yeah,
like I felt like I was pretty early on that. First and foremost, I was early on that Brighton wave.
Yeah,
I have for a long time been liking Brighton, and I'm glad to see that they're shining and have such a healthy.
Brighton is kind of like the Middlesbrough right now, just producing.
Bro, it's amazing talent, right? They have a super sustainable business model, and they're doing super well. All credit to them. They're playing in Europa League with us. As it stands with just Caicedo, bro. Yeah. As a Liverpool fan, it's like a slap in the face first and foremost. I understand that it's coming from a respectful point, right? Quotation marks. I think that it's really like this team of agents, which really seems to be a common thing with players from Latino America. As much like it pains me to say, is they get fed like bad advice from agents.
Yeah,
agents. Yeah, right. Like this dude apparently has a big group of agencies that have been managing his career, which Brighton themselves have been like, hey, he's being fed bad information.
Yep.
And so it's like kind of a known thing. It's a slap in the face because Liverpool are a bigger club than Chelsea. I'm not saying that as like a matter of opinion.
100%.
It's just like it's a fact.
It's a fact.
Right. That
The two biggest clubs in England is United and Liverpool.
Right.
Like bar none.
Exactly. They're just two of the biggest teams in Europe, and Liverpool one of the biggest teams in Europe in general.
Yeah.
So I think that it sucks for it to come out, but at the same time, it sucks that this happened. Right.
Yeah.
It sucks that it happened. You get an agreement with the club, and the player decides, no,
nah, I'm good.
At the same time, though, Liverpool have nobody to blame but themselves. They could have had this wrapped up in January.
Right.
They had negotiations ongoing with Brighton in January. They weren't willing to pay the $60 million to get him. Now, I think there was an initial plan in place for them to buy him, loan him out, get him back.
Yeah.
Right? So that he can close the season with Brighton.
Right.
And then come and start with us. 60 million, 70 million.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go set the British transfer record at 111 million for the same player.
Yeah.
This is all on Liverpool's ownership.
And especially last year, you look back, they were dying for help in the midfield
This has
too.
this has been an ongoing issue for years now, where people have pointed out our midfield is now on old legs.
Yeah.
Kind of like what we're talking about Leeds. Like, their style of play is not sustainable. It ran its course with Gini Wijnaldum. It ran its course with Jordan Henderson. It ran its course with Fabinho. There should have been a telltale sign that we needed the players. It goes on the ownership 100%. It goes on our transfer, like our business policy. As much as it pains me, it goes on Jurgen Klopp also. Because last year, before the season started, we were banging our fists on the table as fans that watch this team week in and week out saying, hey,
help.
we are just the amateur eye. We're telling you, I think you need another midfielder. I'm not saying this because, we need a bigger squad. No, I'm saying it because it killed us on the back end of the season beforehand.
Yeah.
We need more bodies in midfield. And he comes to us, the public, the fans, and he says, we don't need more midfielders.
Yeah.
That is,
that.
and
it's asinine.
The funniest thing, really, it's not that funny. Fabinho goes down, Thiago goes down, Hendo goes down.
Yep.
It was an absolute issue across the board. The year before that, it was center backs. The last season was midfielders. There's just an issue with the overall depth of players.
Yeah.
That also stems from investment. That's why I'm saying it falls on the owners. I know
on
Liverpool
LeBron
fans.
How does this affect LeBron's legacy?
It affects it big time, actually. I think more than anything, though, I'm so infuriated with the Liverpool ownership. I know that there's a lot more Liverpool fans that are always just angry with the ownership, right?
Yeah.
That they expect. At the end of the day, these are business owners that want to turn a profit on the money that they've invested. I understand that. I totally understand that part of it. It just sucks that last season we were outspent by 90% of the league.
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest spent more money than we did last season.
Yeah.
And that's Nottingham Forest, right?
Yeah.
Like, no disrespect to them, but they spend over $100 million in transfer. And meanwhile,
Morgan Gibbs White.
We're going knocking on the door like, I know your player valuation is $20 million. I'm willing to throw you 12.
Yeah.
Please. Yeah. Like,
help me out.
No, but it's so infuriating. The way that we approach transfers is just so bad. And the Caicedo situation, as much as it falls on Caicedo, it falls on Liverpool. We waited for the last 2 weeks of the transfer window to get this business done.
Yeah.
Chelsea have been doing this for months. So I understand from his perspective, he's just like, this team has been courting me for a long time. They really want me. That's why I want to go to them, because they've shown me much more love. I can appreciate the fact that Liverpool come and try to sign him within 2 days.
Yeah.
But there was no legwork to the same regard that it was for Chelsea.
Right.
It sucks. It really does suck. I'm rooting the worst for him now. But the reality is, I think he's...
And his family.
I won't go that far, you know? But I do think he's a quality player. He is going to really help that Chelsea midfield that can use it. He's going to run forever, which really just stings as a Liverpool fan, because it's exactly... From last year, I've been saying, we can use this player. We need this player, because I watch almost all these games, bro. Right. I don't say that it's hyperbole.
I'm a Premier League whore.
I do tricks for the Premier League, right? And so I watch so many games. I watch so many players, and I'm not a scout or anything like that, but I would like to think that I know players that would fit our system just off the naked eye.
Right.
And clearly, I did, because I was banging the table last year.
Yeah.
Like, Liverpool need to sign this guy.
Yep.
It just sucks the way this whole thing has unfolded. It makes you feel like a small club, which I know for a fact that we're not.
Right.
And now we just need to figure out what the business is after this. Because
bro. Okay, so what do you think they do with that 111? You think
I don't think they're gonna do a damn thing with it.
You think they're just gonna we tried to put it in our back pocket again?
Because there's no player that's available on the market at that position that is proven quality to play like week in, week out, crazy minutes at the Premier League level.
Okay,
there's just nobody at that. So
how do you feel about Tyler Adams?
I would take him at the team. But that's a drop off from Fabinho.
Yeah.
Right? He runs a lot. Yes, I would take him at the team for sure.
Yeah.
And for me too, it'd be easy to root for him.
Some new lungs.
Yeah. Some. I mean, granted, he is just coming off injury too, which is like a point of concern for myself because like our midfield is constantly in the freaking medical room.
Yeah.
But I really think at this point you were willing to throw 111 at Caicedo. I think they should just have paid the 50 million for Romeo Lavia already. I think there's a lot of potential with him. I don't think he's a solid product yet.
Yeah.
But I do think in a season, he can be a great player. But again, there's just nobody available that can go and slot in and do a job right now, which is why the Caicedo situation hurts the way that it does.
Right. And the Bellingham.
That was the other point of frustration that like for me, I think inevitably he was going to end up choosing Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Right? I do think that was inevitable because I mean, bro,
he wanted to.
It's bro, they're arguably the biggest club in the world, right?
It's not that arguable.
There's a small argument that could be had. I mean, it's really 4 teams.
Okay, who?
It's Liverpool, Barcelona, Man United, Real Madrid. Those 4 teams, and depending
Real
on the
Madrid
day,
stand above all of them.
Yeah, they won the most. They've won the most Champions League. You know, I'm not like that's not lost on me, right? Absolutely. But I do think that talk about like who the biggest team is, it ebbs and flows depending on how the teams are doing right now.
Yeah,
Man City just aren't there yet. Granted, how great they are because their fan base isn't there. But when all these teams are rocking and they're rolling on all cylinders, whoever is doing the best out of those 4 teams is the biggest club in the world, and it ebbs and flows. I think as it stands right now, it's not lost on me to say the Madrid are the bigger team. There's a bigger allure of the 4 teams. They're the most recent team to win a Champions League and have European success. And their midfield is set for a decade. If Bellingham is going to stay that long, I personally think that he's going to be there 5-6 years at Real Madrid, and then he inevitably comes to the Premier League because he's an English player.
Right.
I'm just so upset at the fact that we dropped out of the race before he had made his decision to go to Madrid. Again, inevitably, that's probably going to happen.
Yeah.
But we could have at least made it a little interesting.
Yeah.
Especially if there was $111 million
just sitting around.
Bro,
sitting
what?
Around.
We could have used that money exponentially across the board in so many different ways, in so many different positions. That's why I was just so shocked that it just kind of came out of left field.
Nowhere, dude.
I was just like, bro, where has this money been? We've been begging for investment, and clearly it's there. But like, it's just I just don't know where they go from here, and it just sucked to not be involved deeper in that Bellingham race. We'll see what happens. I think he's gonna absolutely kill it.
Yeah,
it just sucks because I know we had been doing so much legwork, and we decided to pull out before he had made his decision, which was to me like the stupidest part about that, especially seeing that they're willing to launch 111 million on Caicedo. It just sucks.
Yeah,
it just goes back down to bad transfer business, bad transfer policy. And just a lack of ambition from the ownership. They just across the board for years now. That's the most frustrating part about being a Liverpool fan, for sure.
I think it comes in waves, right? Because like they broke the goalkeeper record, broke the center back record.
Yeah.
Then they go a little bit like by the wayside. They don't really spend. Yeah, and then they try to do another big one like right now by Caicedo.
Yeah.
So it's like I feel like they do make some big splashes, but then they kind of like. They're like here.
Exactly.
They're like here. Like
Darwin Nunez was a big splash last season, right? Like he hasn't gotten up to 85 million because the bonuses haven't been there because he had a rough year last year. You can call a spade a spade. It wasn't a great year.
Right.
He hit 15 goals, but I was expecting him to really bang from the get-go.
Lead the front line.
Yeah, and I mean, bro, it's crazy the chances that he creates. I'm expecting a really big year from him this year, but I just wanted to touch on the goalkeeper and center back thing. That only happened because they sold Coutinho. They aren't willing to splash this money regularly.
With nothing coming in.
That's why this Caicedo one really just blew my mind.
Exactly. Like where did the funds come from? Yeah.
Just so infuriating.
Ended up being a really good
best piece of business that Liverpool have ever done.
Yeah. That was good. Especially because, man, what is he even doing nowadays?
I think he's Saudi or Qatar bound, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's crazy because he was nice.
He was, but it was Klopp told him, it's just like, hey, like stay here, become a legend, or you go over there and just be another player. And he just ended up. He's one of the biggest flops in the history of the sport.
Yeah, and there's no other way to put it.
No other way to put it.
But yeah, man, it's been a pleasure having you here one more time on this podcast. I think this is the first time this year, right?
It might be the first time this year.
I'm pumped for the Premier League, not gonna lie. I mean, not too pumped because my Wolves are freaking... I'm excited because my first year playing fantasy, so we'll see how that goes. I already fucked up, dude. I tried to put the center back for City yesterday on. The guy that came from I think, Germany.
Yeah, Guvardio.
Yeah. And because he was starting, right?
No, he came off the bench.
Oh, no. Who was the guy that started at center back next to Ake? Kanji, yeah. I have him on fantasy, and I'm like, oh, dude.
Oh, they both came from Germany. My bad.
Yeah. What's his name? Diaz is out, so I was like, put him in the starting lineup. I fucking edited the lineup for week 2 instead of week 1.
Oh, bro, yeah.
And he got 6 points, and I'm starting to get a feel of how much points they're with. Anything above 6 is like pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm used to like fantasy football, so I'm like, where's my 20 points, you know? But now my goalkeeper got me 9, and I was like hella pumped up about that. And I see 6 points sitting on the bench, and the center back that I left for Newcastle on got me 1. So I'm kind of hot about that. I'm kind of hot about the Wolves not doing shit, you know. But overall, I'm still excited. You know, hopefully, I'm pretty sure we're gonna be fighting for relegation another season. So. Whatever, we'll see how many coaches we go through this year. But yeah, excited for the top 4 race. Excited to celebrate some goals for the Wolves. Excited to watch my boy Raul Jimenez with Fulham. Even though he's the one that got me as a Wolves fan, so I'm gonna fully support him with Fulham. I'm also fully support Edson Alvarez with West Ham.
Yeah.
Obviously, when the Wolves play against them, it's Wolves. Up the mighty Wolves.
Absolutely,
but excited to see some Mexicans in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And the Premier League usually always lives up. And I just want to have a good race.
That's what I want.
Yeah,
last year it was entertaining. It went down to the wire.
Exactly. I love that. Liverpool and City going at it. Cinema, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just don't want to see a team run away with it. That
would absolutely suck.
Yeah.
That would absolutely.
I mean, everyone's like, oh, there's still a top 4 race and you can still keep up with relegation. Yeah, you can, but
it's not the same.
It's not the same.
Yeah,
we're here to see the champions, the 2 or 3 teams fight to duke it out to
absolutely.
the end.
Absolutely.
So that's my main wish. You know, promotion. I mean, not getting relegated, Wolves. Exciting
for the Mexican players in the Premier League. Yeah, absolutely. I hope Edson Alvarez uses this as a trampoline to a larger club. West Ham are a big team, but I do think if he has a super successful season, he can make a bigger jump, which would be good for all of the potential players that are coming from Mexico.
Yep, it should be good.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, my
Glad
dude.
to be back.
Slide no sudden moves. On my goons are stretching. And I'm taxing for the feet. On my damn collections.